Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk about Zuffa Boxing's deal with Paramount Plus, which is a new broadcast deal that has the potential of changing the sport of boxing for the good or the bad. Before I go into that deal, I think a bit of background is important. So the UFC, which is headed by Dana White, signed a deal with Paramount about a month ago. That deal had an average annual value of $1.1 billion, and it was over a 7 year period. That deal was quite important for a number of different reasons, but the most important for fight fans around the world was that it signalled the end of pay-per-view, which was fitting given the declining pay-per-view numbers and the astronomical amount of money that Dana White was charging MMA fans to watch the UFC. That deal gave an exclusive streaming platform for all UFC content starting in 2026. However, it did leave room for a selected marquee event to be casted simultaneously on CBS, which expands the reach. Now, fast forward a month, yesterday to be specific, Zuffa Boxing and Paramount Plus announced the deal, which is quite light on financial detail, but involves 12 events being broadcasted on Paramount Plus starting in 2026, and it covers the US, Canada, and Latin America. A UK deal is yet to be confirmed, so be interested in the coming days to see how that would impact the UK, which platforms it would be shown on, and it's a multi-year rights deal. So a bit of background about Zuffa Boxing. Zuffa Boxing was formed in March by TKO Holdings and Saudi Arabia-backed seller. Zuffa, quite interestingly, is headed by CEO Dana White, who also happens to be CEO of the UFC. As well as him, they've got WWE President Nick Khan, and Dr. Rakan and Turkey Al Sheikh. Dr. Rakan being the CEO of Seller. Now, their sort of flagship event was the super fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, which was broadcasted live on Netflix and had, at one point, I think it had 41 million views. So it generated a lot of traction. The specific so Zuffa, they're aiming to showcase 50-55, with the winners going on to feature on Riyadh Season and Turkey Al Sheikh's cards, which bears similarity to the Ultimate Fighter reality TV show that was headed by Dana White in 2005. And they're actively looking to recruit around 400 to 450 fighters to his roster. Again, this is similar to the UFC, which I think at present has about 750 fighters. Another thing that's quite important in this puzzle is the Ali Act, which is a federal law designed to protect professional boxers from anti-competitive practices. And some of the clauses include creating a clear separation between promoters and managers. So, for example, managers cannot have a financial interest in a promoter. They're not allowed to enter into conversive promotional agreements that excessively restrict a boxer's career. And most importantly in this instance, it does not allow for monopolization. The Ali Act is important because Zuffa Boxing have in the past lobbied to create a new version of the Ali Act. They've backed the Boxing Reform Act, which would, in simple terms, allow them to create a model that mirrors the UFC. On the UFC, it's a centralized model which allows it to maintain extensive control over fighter contracts and matchmaking. In a nutshell, the UFC have bought a load of its competitors out, which means it's the dominant mixed martial arts sort of promotional company in the whole world. So essentially, fighters who want to earn the big money, fighters who want to fight for titles, who want to fight the best, have to be a part of the UFC to do that. That's allowed them to almost take control of that by minimizing the amount that they pay fighters, because fighters aren't in a position to bargain for more money because they've got nowhere else to go. The new version of the Ali Act would allow them to create a unified boxing organization, which is something that is prohibited in the Ali Act, which says that there has to be a clear separation between promoters and managers. Now, one way in which they want to create a unified boxing organisation as such is by creating a single belt championship in boxing. So currently, there are four main. There are multiple sanctioning bodies in boxing. So you've got the WBC, the IBF, the WBA. Zuffa Boxing want to get rid of that and just have one championship per weight division, so that a fighter can be the unified champion in that weight category. They don't have to worry about other sanctioning bodies. Now, the current stipulation of the Ali Act will not allow Zuffa to operate like this, which explains why it's attempted to lobby for a revised Ali Act. Now, there are some benefits to the deal with the UFC siding with Paramount. Firstly, it does create competition amongst broadcasters. Currently, DAZN, which is the leading sort of broadcast platform, is partnered with over 30 global promoters worldwide, and this varies from Matchroom and Queensberry to Golden Boy and Misfits, which has almost centralized the platform, so that boxing fans, if they have a DAZN subscription, they're pretty much covered. Whereas before, Matchroom were with Sky, Queensberry were with TNT. So in the UK alone, you had to have a Sky subscription and then a TNT subscription. So DAZN have, in effect, made it more accessible for boxing fans because you don't need to pay for that app. However, because of that, there is an argument to be said that it has the potential of becoming too powerful. So this deal with Paramount Plus creates competition amongst broadcasters, which might be good for boxing fans because it keeps DAZN on its toes and it keeps them from becoming too complacent, and it almost allows them to sort of make better fights because of its competition with Paramount. Another thing as well is that the deal means that it's not exclusive to Paramount. So, as mentioned previously, Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford was shown on Netflix. Now, Riyadh season events are still able to be shown on Netflix. So again, a lot of people have Netflix subscriptions, so it generate bigger audiences based on that. So again, creating competition. One of the major downsides of this act is that if Zuffa were able to create an ecosystem where they control every single part, so they control the fighters, up-and-coming fighters coming through, those up-and-coming fighters then join Riyadh season, it almost means that they've got too much power in that instance, and it would create, as mentioned, a model that is similar to the UFC, which I believe could be quite detrimental to the sport because it gives Dana White too much power, which isn't a good thing, in my opinion.